Hey everybody, welcome. It's Chris Petri. Thanks so much for coming by. Hey, we're doing a beautiful painting today. We're doing a gorgeous cityscape. Right here, we're doing the glazing technique, cityscape painting. Absolutely gorgeous washes. We're going to explain every method, every technique, every detail you need to create this painting. And it doesn't matter what level you are, as far as if you're a beginner, if you're an intermediate student, watercolor, or if you're an expert. You can learn from this technique and this video, because basically we're going to cover something, that is basically very unique. It's the glazing technique, which is unique in itself. A lot of watercolor artists do use the glazing technique, but not everybody that does the glazing technique does it the same way. So here I'm going to show you how I do the glazing technique, how you can do it successfully. It's just steps. We're going to cover each step of the way. You just follow along, take notes, follow along, and then you can go back a second time and then, actually do the painting itself. But it's best if you watch it first full through one time, kind of get those ideas and methods and techniques I'm showing you kind of like in your mind first, kind of, get the feel for it, watch it through, carefully watch. Then once you're done with watching it, maybe you go a second time and then you work along with the video, and you can stop your video and start your video as we go through each of the steps of the way. And this way you'll be able to do this painting actually, quite simply. It's not a tremendously difficult task. It's just a matter of watching it one time full through, kind of get the idea of what we're doing, the flow of things. Then you come through the second time and you just stop the video and start the video as we go, because we usually always do. You'll notice in all of my videos, if you watch me on a regular basis, you'll notice I always take breaks, so you will do the same thing. You'll paint, first you'll draw, then you'll take a break. Then you'll paint a little bit, you'll take another break. You'll maybe take your blow dryer and dry off some washes, take another break, come back, and before you know it, maybe in 3 or 4 hours, you'll have this painting completely done, beautifully, effectively. And I know you'll be extremely happy when you're completed with it. So this is my painting. I'll zoom out just a little bit here so we can kind of see that's the finished painting there. And we'll get started in just a second. Okay, so we just saw the finished painting. We're getting started now. We're going to actually just do a little bit of prep work. As watercolor artists, we're always trying to just do a little bit of prep work before we start. Let's do that. I always try to take a little bit of a spritzer bottle here with some fresh, clean water and just give my paints a little bit of a spray just to get them a little bit moist. But I do keep this in a refrigerator, so my paints do stay pretty moist. So if you have any questions or you think you might want to learn more about how to keep your tube paints fresh and moist, you just have to look that up you just type into YouTube Chris Petri palette. That's all you got to do is type in my name, ChrisPetri. I think I have you just type in Chris Petri into YouTube, and then you just type in palette, which is P-A-L-E-T-T-E, palette. And I have about 10 palette videos. Can you believe it? 10 already. I keep making them and adding some more interesting things to each one, covering the colors, what brands of paints I use, all that good stuff. So please use YouTube as a great resource to learn more about my paints, my palettes, what I use, how I keep my palettes fresh, the paints fresh and moist. I go over all that in those other videos, so we don't have to waste time here when we're doing our painting. So we want to keep our painting time going here, and we're not going to want to do too much diversions off onto other things. So I'm just going to clean up my palette a little bit here, get some fresh working surface here, nice and clean. It's good to keep our palette nice and clean. We'll use some fresh colors here. Now what I'm going to do is these are my normal colors I use on an everyday basis. Once in a while I will add a new color into my palette, and when I do that I just take a small plastic pan. These are made by Holbein. They also, Schminke also makes them, so you can look up Schminke or Holbein If you're a watercolor artist and you've probably been painting for years, you've heard Schmincke, Winsor & Newton, Holbein. Those are all your famous art suppliers, art material suppliers. They supply paints, palettes, brushes, and all that good stuff. So this is a Schmincke, actually, a Schmincke plastic pan. So I just take this plastic pan and then I use one of my favorite things, double stick tape, heavy duty outdoor double stick tape, like this here. So this is double stick tape. It's got the red plastic film over it so it doesn't stick to the other side, and it's very simple things to use here. You could just take a little small piece like that, trim it off with a pair of scissors. So this is what I do here. I take that double stick tape, trim it off with the scissors, a small little piece that'll fit underneath the palette, underneath the pan, I should say, this plastic pan. And then I just peel that off. And sometimes it takes a little bit of a try or two to get that red plastic off. No big deal. Then I take the pan, flip it over, and I just take that double stick tape and I put it on the back of the pan like so. There we go. Like that. Doesn't have to be perfect, just get it on there like that. Then I just take it and I put it over here in my palette. And then I just set it down on the palette, press it down good so it's firm and it's locked. It's in there, it's good. Then I take some sepia paint. I'm using some sepia, Winsor & Newton sepia color paint for this painting. I need some of that and I don't have it in my everyday palette, so if you have to add some new colors, of course, add them in there. So I'm just going to add some of that. I use this also for doing like portrait paintings and things like that, where I just use sepia tone by itself, nothing else. Great way to work with just maybe one color sometimes, just an idea. And so now that we have our neutral tint, sepia tone in here, we're all set to go. We have all the colors we may need. We're not going to use a lot of colors for this video either, so think of it this way. We actually have a lot of colors out here on our palette, but we're not going to use all of them. But this is my everyday palette, and you'll notice if you do look at my palette videos, I go over all the colors I use, and they're all here. So maybe in a flower painting, I might use most of these. But in a painting now, we're going to do a glazing technique. Of course, we covered this in the very beginning of the video, a glazing technique video, where we're doing a streetscape scene. I might not use as much colors, so that's fine. So, you know, at least if your everyday palette that you use is all set up and you have all your colors that you would normally use that you could think you could possibly need, then you're all set. You have that. Then if you need to scale down and you don't need as many colors, well, you just use the few that you might need to create your painting, but you always want to have the major colors you need at any given painting. Or sometimes you just might want to add more colors because you feel like you want to add some more colors to a painting that might not need as many colors, but you just want to add more, so you always have that ability to add more colors. So that's why I have this larger amount of colors here, so that I always have the colors here. I had some extras that I just left in here, but I don't normally use leaf green, but leaf green's beautiful when you're doing trees and landscape type paintings. And then I think over here I might have, well, this might be one of my more often I use ivory black or Payne's gray. But in any case, these are my main colors, and you can see my palette on my palette videos. You just type in, again, Chris Petri and palette, and you'll find all my videos there. And there's a lot of great information in there. I hope you'll go and look at those if you're not familiar with those videos. So what we're going to do is we're going to just do a quick sketch of our cityscape. So basically I'm just thinking of maybe a really beautiful like street scene, cityscape. Maybe it's a little rainy out, a little bit of that mood of like the rain, the drizzle, you know, not raining heavy. You can still be out walking around enjoying yourself in the day, but you might have a little bit of a rain shower here and there, and that's fine. That's the kind of feeling we're going to have here in this painting. And then I'm going to try to come up with a simple idea. Now let's go over the I'm just going to go over the basic pattern of what we're going to draw. So here's our rectangle. We have a rectangle, and we're doing this in a portrait style, which is upright. So if we were doing a landscape orientate, like if we were going to take our painting and make it into a landscape format, it would be, our rectangle would be like this. So that's a long measurement of the painting would be horizontally. Here we're going to do a portrait style. We're going to have it upright, portrait style. So that's our portrait style. And then we're just going to basically think of, let's have some buildings up here. And we'll make it so that the buildings are sort of trailing off into the distance down this way. So let's just do that. Let's just have some like that. And I just do it very loosely. We're going to pencil draw this in too. But that's all. We're just going to, and then maybe we'll have a, maybe there'll be like a, maybe we'll have a some architectural features, you know, here. Maybe we might have a nice rotunda. And maybe another couple buildings over here, just like that. Nothing too fancy. And then we're going to have maybe a couple cars. Maybe we'll make a couple cars over here, like that. Some cars, and then maybe we're going to have some figures. So let's make the figures, let's make them all the same height. So we're going to have our figures like this. And they're walking on the street here, and then we have some more, maybe some in the distance here. So there's someone here. It's a rainy day. Maybe they have an umbrella, like that. A couple figures here that are walking, like that. And there's some street here, and there's some, so we have our cars here. We'll have some car lights flashing on down here in the foreground and in the front here. And we're going to have some interesting, again, some figures closer to us to make a real exciting foreground. We're going to have our figures here in the foreground. That's really powerful. Then we have the figures sort of disappearing or receding back into the painting. So then you have some figures here, and they're starting to get smaller. And those are going to be the more exciting figures here that are receding in the painting, giving us that really beautiful look of distance in the painting, three-dimensional qualities to our painting here. So then we have that. And then we'll have some other couple features, maybe a couple lights and a light pole maybe. So we'll have some lights here in the distance, some light poles, like that. It's your happy world here. You're just going to pretend you're out in the city shopping, having a good time. Maybe it's around the holidays and you're shopping and you're, you know, just enjoying the hustle and bustle of the city. And there's lots of people everywhere and good times. Maybe we might even have a nice little bit of color here. Maybe we'll make a little flagpole, and we'll just do a little flag like that up here on one of the buildings. And we're going to make this very light and carefree painting. We're not going to get into too much detail. We're going to just, you know, have fun with the colors, with the washes. And again, this is going to be a glazing technique. So always remember, let's keep a track of what we're doing here. Here is a glazing technique. We're going to paint light to dark. Lights first to dark. And we're going to also paint dry each glazing. So what we're going to do here is you want to dry each glazing as you go. You don't want to keep going and just mixing and mingling everything together. We're going to show you how to do it, but I'm just kind of doing a couple little notes here so we have an idea of what our game plan is. This is going to be our overall idea of our painting. Some beautiful buildings here, some sky. It's a rainy, kind of misty day out. You can feel the misty drizzle, and people are out, maybe some umbrellas. Maybe it's going to get sunny in just a minute or two. We never know. We're having fun. And then we have some figures in here too, some cars, some wet roadways with reflections of light. It's all going to be beautiful, lots of good colors, lots of water, lots of paint. It's a glazing technique, so we're really going to use and exploit the glazing technique to its fullest potential, and that's how we're going to cover all of this here on this video. So stick right here with me. I'm going to take a quick break, and I always mention too, hey, if you have not subscribed, what are you waiting for? Right here on the bottom right-hand side, there's that subscribe button underneath the screen. Subscribe to my channel, please. We're here every week doing all kinds of exciting watercolor paintings. Yes, every style. Cityscapes, landscapes, flowers. We do portrait paintings, figure paintings, everything in the watercolor medium. And we also cover all the techniques of watercolor. We're covering glazing technique this time. Next time we're going to cover maybe alla prima, and you'll see how alla prima painting in watercolor works. I'll cover all those techniques with you, show you how to do it, explain it as we go, and you can paint right along with us and have a great time. All right? So again, please subscribe, and if you hit the notification bell too, which is right next to it, this way at least you're alerted when exactly my videos come out, so you know, and you can jump right in and watch it at least first. Maybe if you don't like this cityscape, maybe you love flower paintings, and I'll be doing a flower painting in just a few weeks or so. So always remember, I'm always constantly changing my subject matter. So I'm doing all subject matter for watercolor. So even if you don't like cityscapes or landscapes, you might like flowers, or you might really enjoy painting figures or portraits. I'll be doing those too in the upcoming videos. So as long as you watch each video, you'll learn all the techniques and the basics of watercolor. And if you don't want to paint that particular painting that I'm doing at this certain week, that, you know, a new video, I make at least 2 every week. When they come out, if you don't like the particular scene that I'm painting or the subject matter, you just watch it anyway. You'll learn all the techniques, the colors. You'll keep hearing the same colors, the same techniques. You'll be learning all about the brushes, the paper, all the details. But then once we get to a video you really like that you want to paint, then you do that one. But you want to keep watching all the time, because this information will keep going into your mind. You'll keep hearing it. You'll keep seeing it. You'll lock it into your mindset. You'll lock it in, and you'll be able to do much better watercolor paintings if you're following along each week as we go. And that's why I always ask if please subscribe, because I want to see you get better at your watercolors. That's the main reason I'm here. I'm here so that you get better at your watercolors. I don't want you to give up and throw your watercolor palette and brushes out in the garbage, you know, next week or something. I want you to keep painting. And if you keep following each week, you're going to get the information you need. That's going to help you to become a better artist, and you'll be happier. So be happy here, enjoy, happy painting. We'll come right back and we'll start the painting. And again, I just want to do these quick couple notes here. We start out with a game plan of notes before we start our painting. Better off doing that than just kind of putting some pencil sketches on and not really knowing what we're going to do. I've given you the basic layout of what we're doing. Glazing technique, light to dark, so light washes first. We let them dry. Each glazing we let dry. And that's it. And this is the basic layout. Some figures in the foreground and in the middle distance. And then our buildings on the left-hand side over here trailing off into the distance to give us that three-dimensional look. Well, let's get started in just a second, okay? All right, we'll be right back. Okay, we are back, and we're going to actually get started here with our drawing. So I'm just going to use a number 0.9 millimeter pencil to sketch in our buildings. And of course, let me just first off, let me make a outline of my rectangle, which is our rectangle. We're working within a rectangle. So all we have to worry about is this rectangle right here. Okay, so we have that rectangle. And then now we're going to just basically sort of start to figure on, okay, where are we going to go with all of our information here, our subject matter. Let's do here, we're going to say, maybe I can back a little bit like this. Okay, like that. So here we're going to make our building, the top of our building here, over here on this side. And then we're just going to go over this way, make a couple of buildings going like this, and then we're going to have a round rotunda for this building here. And we're going to come down this way, and then we're going to do another building this way, and then we're just going to do that. So we kind of went like this. All right, now that I have it, I'm going to do a darker version of it so you can see that. Okay, so I'm going down this way here like that. And I'm doing a rotunda style. We'll have a little bit of architectural design to it. And then we have over here other buildings in the distance. They're far in the distance now over here. And they just trail off in the distance like that. So that's our buildings. They're trailing down off into the distance. This will be the furthest distance over here, far away. This is the closest to us here. And then we can take a little bit of a line here and go down and just kind of give ourselves a little bit of a marker point here. Okay, a hash mark, so to speak, or a line. That's one of our buildings here. And then things go this way, and we're going to leave this loose and abstract here. Then we're going to do some figures. So let's do some figures here. Let's see, our figures are going to be maybe like 1/3 up on the painting. So if you have the painting broken down into thirds, 1/3, 2/3, and 3/3. So this is a third up here, a third here, and a third here. We're thinking of equal distances, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. Our 1/3 location here, which is our hash mark, we're going to make our figures. So our first bit of figures, our closest figures in the foreground are going to be here. So I'm just going to make a head and shoulders, like that. That's someone walking along the street here. That's one figure. Maybe I'll just do that a little darker so you can see. Okay, that's one figure there. And then over here, let's do another. This one here, maybe like that. And same thing, figure here. Okay, that's our second figure over here on the right. Then we're going to actually create a few more figures as we go into the distance a little bit here. So let's do another figure here. And that's going to be like so. And that person is walking. And maybe they have an umbrella with them. And there's another figure in the distance here with another umbrella. These people here, they're not using umbrellas, they're really moving quickly. Maybe these people here with the umbrellas, they're moving a little slower, and they're just enjoying the day a little more, and maybe they're out on the streets and they're shopping and having a great time, so they're going to have some umbrellas, and we'll make some shadows for the legs here, so some reflections of the legs coming down into the street. And maybe there's some lines in the street for the crosswalk. Maybe we'll make some crosswalk lines there. We're not sure. You can leave your paintings a little fun and loose. You don't have to do everything perfect and exact. There's a couple more figures there. And I'm just making the figures smaller as they go into the distance, but I think that's good. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 figures, maybe 7 over here, 7 figures. And they're all walking and having a great time in this beautiful cityscape scene. And I think we have it really set up here now. So we have our drawing all set up. We have some figures. all of the heads of the figures are pretty much the same height. Can you see that? Can you see how that is? If I take a ruler and I put a ruler across my painting like this, you're going to notice the heads of all the figures are at the same height. That's what you really want to shoot for. You want to shoot for having your figures where the heights of the heads are pretty much at the same height. That gives you the feeling of really nice three-dimensional qualities to your painting. So, you know, if you were looking high up from a building looking down, it would look totally different. Your figures would not look like this. But if you're standing at street level, walking in this scene, so we're pretending we're actually walking in this scene together, we're with these figures having a great time in this cityscape here. If we were in this cityscape scene walking around together with all these figures, we would see them just like this, with all the heads at the same height. So even if you have small figures over here, they're going to have the heights of the heads are all going to be at the same level. The only thing that changes is the figures get smaller and the legs get shorter. So my figure here is only this tall, maybe like, you know, this much on a pencil. And then if we go over here and look at this figure, wow, it's a lot bigger. See that? 1, 2, it's like 3 times the size of this figure and these figures here. But the heads are all at the same height. Just want to make sure you kind of see that. Keep your heads at the same height in your painting, in your cityscape here. And then if you want to make figures going into the distance far away, you just make the bodies and the heads smaller and the legs smaller. And that's all you have to worry about, though, is to keep the heads at the same level. And that'll look beautiful in your painting. You'll really notice a big difference in your final finish of your painting, the quality of it, the look of it. Okay, so we covered, I think, the main details of this. We've got our sketch down. Maybe we might add, and I might even use a ruler. Let me add in a light pole here. So maybe here I'll make a light pole. So maybe this light pole goes up here. Maybe it's even up higher like this. Okay, so I just take a straight line, make a light pole. Like that, and then maybe another one over here. Down the street a little bit, we're going to make another light pole. Let's make this one smaller, maybe half the height. And let's do the same thing. And we just match the same look of this light. We want to make the same light. Just like that. And that should be good. And then maybe another street, maybe a street sign over here. Maybe this one's leaning in a little bit, who knows. Everything doesn't have to be perfectly straight. We'll put a street sign over here. We'll put a street sign there. And we're just going to put a couple like that. And let's do a few cars. We have to do some cars, don't we? So let's get in some cars here. Let's do a car here. We have a car there, and maybe another car here. There we go. We have 2 cars, one over here kind of behind the figure. This one over here is more closer to the street signs here, the light posts here. We can even we don't have to worry about being exact and perfect. You know, we're going to loosen up once we start painting, but we do get our sketch somewhat good here, so that we all right, perfect. Now it's time for a break. We've just finished our sketch, our drawing. Perfect time for a break. We don't want to keep going and going and going and then get tired, and the next thing you know, we're starting to lose track of what we're doing. We're making too many errors with our pencil drawings, or we're adding too much. We've got the main idea here. You know, we might have some lines like this just to kind of give us that feel for the buildings going like this. Like that, and this building might be like this here. This starts to level out. And okay, now the fun part. Let's take a break. We'll come right back and we'll start painting. We'll get our wash, our first wash on, and then we have to take another break to let that dry. So this is going to go fast now. We're doing the glazing technique again. So you'll see how quick the glazing technique goes actually and how fun it is. So once you get your sketch done, take a break, because if you're doing your drawing, it takes a lot of energy and focus and concentration to do your pencil drawing. Once you get your pencil drawing good, then you want to take a break, because you've been working really hard the next, or for the last 15-20 minutes, we've been working hard to get our pencil sketch down. Now the perfect time is to take a break and relax for 10-15 minutes, then come back and start painting, because if you start going in right now and painting, chances are you will have problems. You will start to fatigue, and you'll start putting washes on that aren't going to look good. You'll lose track of the focus of what we're doing. When you take breaks, you relax, you recharge your batteries, and then when you come back, you feel much better, more relaxed, more focused, and you can concentrate on the next phase. And the next phase is going to be the first wash. So let's take a break and let's come back and we'll do our first wash, our first glazing in this wonderful, beautiful seascape scene. Cityscape. We're always doing seascapes, so I'm always used to saying seascapes. Okay, forgive me. See, this is a cityscape. Let's come back and we'll start our washes. See, I'm already fatiguing and losing track of what I'm doing because I haven't taken a break in like half an hour. So please take your break so you don't have that happen to you, okay? Okay, we'll be right back. Okay, we're starting back up again, everyone. Thanks for coming by again. We're actually, we have our sketch done, our drawing done. We did it with confidence here. We got our drawing in. We didn't take forever to do it. We just got the basic idea of some buildings trailing off into the distance on an angle across the page on a 45-degree angle, like so. We got our figures in the foreground. This is the very foreground of the painting. We're at street level now, so if you pretend you're at street level walking here in this scene, you're part of it, you're getting excited, you're part of this scene. And then we have the other figures too as well in this scene. And all of the heads, as we said, are all at the same level approximately. So that's the main idea of our sketch, and it's a cityscape, of course. Now what I'm going to do is I did some extra dark pencil lines so that you could see the pencil lines. And now I'm just going to lift a few of them, not all of them. I'm just going to go here and there. Here and there, I'm just going to lift up a few pencil lines with my eraser, kneaded eraser. Okay, just so I soften some of those up, we don't want to necessarily have everything like that. So just to get a few of those dark pencil lines lifted up, and now we're ready to paint. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a mop brush. This is my Alvaro Castanet number 2 mop brush. I like using mop brushes for the really wet, juicy washes in our glazing technique here. So of course we're using the glazing technique. We're going to use lots of water, lots of paint, lots of water to get our first washes on this painting. And that's going to be the key to starting off this painting, is getting a really good start, getting some light, beautiful washes on here, and then letting it dry 100%. So we're going to be taking a break in like 5-10 minutes. This first wash, you have to let it dry once we're completed with it, and we'll cover that as we go here. We cover all the steps, as you know, on this channel. I'm always covering all the steps that we need to do so that you understand 100% what processes and methods and techniques we're using to get this painting completed. So again, a real simple sketch is completed. The drawing is completed. We figured out our design of how we wanted to design everything. We got it in. We're good to go. Now we're going in, we're doing our first glazing and letting it dry 100%. Let's get our first glazing on. It's going to be light. It's a light wash. It's not a really lot of paint. It's a little bit of paint. Let's try it out. So we're going to go with alizarin crimson. Maybe I'm going to add a touch of purple to that. Okay, so I'm going to add a little purple, but mostly alizarin crimson. And a fair amount of water. You can see how much water I have on there, right? It's a lot of water. It's not just a little. It's quite a bit of water. And then I'm just going to go in and get some of that onto the buildings. And it doesn't have to be perfect. As far as you can go over your lines, you don't have to worry about your lines and like that. We just want to get that alizarin crimson wash on there. Okay. Just like that. Okay, so that's all. Then I maybe fade that in nicely with a little bit of water. Like that. Okay. So that's it. A nice light wash of alizarin crimson. Not too much. Paint. Very little paint. You can see that. Very light wash. Now let's get into some yellow ochre. Yellow ochre. We're going to do some yellow ochre here in the foreground. And you can just mix it. Then I just take my brush, rinse off the paint, dry a little bit off the water off the brush, just a little bit, and then blend that. Leave a little bit of white paper in here in between. Like that. Just like that. Here we go. And the yellow ochre is that beautiful light color. It's the color of light, yellow ochre. There we go. So now we've got alizarin crimson, yellow ochre, and then we're going to go in and get some burnt sienna. Now we're going to mix a little bit of a grayish color, burnt sienna, French ultramarine blue, and alizarin crimson. There we go. And we're just going to do a little bit of that here. Just to kind of make the base of this painting solid and feel like it's kind of weighted a little bit with a little bit of that grayish color. So we put a little bit of that grayish mixture like that. And we're using again our mop brush. It's a number 2 mop brush. Okay, now we are gonna let this dry. That's the fun part about this. You can take a break now. Let's take a break. I love taking breaks. So here we're going to take a break and relax a little bit. Let this dry 100%. You don't want to be trying to paint other washes over the top of this when it's all wet and moist, your paper. That's the glazing technique. You're going to do one wash, light wash, let it dry, walk away from it. Get out of there. Get out of there. Walk away from it 15, 20 minutes, half an hour if you have to. Get a blow dryer. Blow dry it if you have to. If you're so intent on getting back in here and painting because you're having such a great time, no problem. Get yourself a blow dryer. Blow dry this off 100% till it's really dry, and then you can start painting again. So it's up to you how you want to do it. I use the blow dryer, of course, here on YouTube because I'm trying to make make our videos here go a little quicker, and I want to get things done. I can maybe make another video today or two, and this way I'm getting lots of content to you out there. So, and again, thank you so much for coming by. Thanks for painting along with us here. I appreciate so much everyone leave me those beautiful comments. Thank you so much. And I know you're doing a great job out there. You're learning a lot. You're doing much better with your watercolors. And each time you watch a new video of mine, I know you're learning more and you're going to become better at watercolor. So I'm excited because I know you're excited. You're getting better. You're learning more. You're becoming more excited about watercolors because you're seeing progress. You want to see progress. If you're not seeing progress, you're not going to be happy with your watercolors, and then you're going to maybe even give up on them. And I don't want to see you do that. I want to see you keep progressing. So keep going, keep learning and growing in watercolor. Learn as much as you can as you go. Stick here on my channel, and again, please subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, it's simple. You just click that button right down here below on the right hand side underneath the screen here, the video screen. You'll see that little button, subscribe. Hit subscribe, please. This way you don't lose track of me here. I want you to come back to my channel. We're doing great stuff here, all of us together. We're all painting, we're all learning, we're having a great time, and we're progressing. We're learning new things on a constant basis. We're practicing the same techniques and methods over and over so that you lock them in and you have them, you know, secured, and you're doing them all the time, and that's going to make your, again, your paintings look better, your compositions look better. You'll have a lot more fun and enjoy the watercolor medium, okay? All right, so I'm going to come right back once this dries. I think I'm going to use a blow dryer here and blow dry this off to get it dry, and then we'll come back in and we'll start painting over top. Okay? All right, well, so we'll be right back. Okay, we're getting back started again. We're actually we let this dry, our first glazing, our first wash. So that's all the main key of our first wash was we want to let it dry. And once it dries, 90% of the way, you're set, you're good. We're going to start our second glazing, our second wash, and we're going to start out with some yellow ochre. Here we'll use some yellow ochre, some neutral tint, which is that sepia tone, Winsor Newton sepia tone. So we're going to do some of that. Yellow ochre, sepia tone. Okay, a little bit of water. So I add some water to that. You might have a little bit of tissue with you to dry off your brush occasionally if you feel that you're going to need some to dry off your brush a little bit. Sometimes if you have too much water on your brush, and especially too, this is a mop brush. You could use in this painting, you could use your round brushes, like your round watercolor brushes, to do this painting as well. I like the mop brush. It holds a little more water, and we're using a little more water in this glazing technique. That's why I'm using the number 2 Alvaro Castanet mop brush, because it holds a little more water than a normal round watercolor brush, let's say like a Kolinsky sable brush. This holds more water, so this gives me a little more opportunity to have more water in my painting. So I'm going to start to put in the washes up here above. These are the buildings. So I'm going to try to get those in first, like so. Okay, now as I bring this is more of a medium wash. It's not too dark, but it's not super light either, as you can see. So that's how we want to do this. We want to get these washes in a medium tone, a medium tonal value. So we don't want to go too dark with this, especially here as we're in the distance area. Remember, this is close to us. These buildings here along this side here, this is very, very close to us. This is right in the foreground. And then as you go this way, and the buildings start to go this way, they're going further and further and further away from us. So to accentuate the distance of these buildings, we are going to make them lighter. So that's why you can see I'm doing a kind of a lighter wash here, like this. Like that. And there's some figures there we're gonna do those in a little while. There's a car over here. I'm going to try to make sure I leave that windshield kind of a brighter looking wash. So I'll leave that paper brighter looking. And then we're going to kind of go this way here. Burnt umber, sepia tone. And we're going to just do that. We're going to go around there like so. Now, let's get some of this over here darker, because this is closer to us over here. So let's make that a little bit darker here. Let's go with so for our darks we like to use French ultramarine blue. For our dark tones, French ultramarine blue, burnt sienna, French ultramarine blue, maybe a little bit of that sepia tone too as well. On the left. Now, oh, look at that, beautiful dark tones. Let's do some more. French ultramarine blue, burnt sienna. Okay, so you just see I'm doing darks here now. So what we're doing is our first wash that we did, we left that very light and we let it dry. Now we're going in and we're doing our darker darks. So the figure here is dark, and we're going to fuse everything all together. Burnt umber, burnt sienna, a little bit of the sepia tone. Okay, and that's how we kind of get our darks here. Like that. And then also too, we have another figure over here. Let's make him dark. Okay, he's over here like that. And then we rinse off our brush and we try to just keep working these darker tones. Again, French ultramarine blue, burnt umber, burnt sienna, a little bit of the sepia tone. I'm going to do this here. And burnt umber, sepia tone, burnt umber, burnt sienna, French ultramarine blue. I'm going to try to see if I can get a little bit of those buildings here. Like that, okay. And okay, there we go, look at that. Now, we're going to rinse our brush off, dry off our brush on the paper towel or a sponge, or here I'm using a tissue. Now I'm going to start going in and working the flesh tones, which is yellow ochre and cadmium red. A little bit of alizarin crimson too. Okay, and then there we're going to do the face. And there's maybe a shirt, maybe a red shirt there. Like that. And here we're going to do the face of this figure here, like that. Like that. Okay, and then as things are going here, we're moving along. Cobalt blue, maybe a little cobalt blue. So maybe I just do a little bit of some of the car reflections, and again that's the same thing. Burnt sienna, burnt umber. I put in some of the I actually added some Prussian blue, which I think will be okay. Let's do some Prussian blue here. Okay, that's okay, and then we're going to continue on. Let's do again more. Why not? Prussian blue, burnt umber, burnt sienna, French ultramarine blue, and we're going to try to fuse in here too some of this other figure here. Now with this figure here, we're going to some shadows here where the figure's legs are, and we have some more figures over here. Like that. And some more over here. The main thing is to make sure we let's make sure that we keep blending all the colors together as we go. And I want to make sure that I try to maybe lighten up this windscreen, the windshield on the car. So I lift up with a little bit of tissue. There we go. Then you can go in and get some darker darks, burnt umber, burnt sienna, French ultramarine blue. Why not go in with some Prussian blue? Okay, now splash a little bit. Let's do a little bit of Chinese white here. So I make the Chinese white blend in with our buildings over here. And let's even go with some lavender. Let's take a little bit of lavender paint here. Touch of lavender. So if you have to just do a quick little bit of lavender, this is a Holbein watercolor, lavender color. Add some lavender into your paintings. I guarantee you will be happy. And again, windshield screen. Let's make sure we keep those light there. We'll go over them again with some darker darks. Lavender, splash on some lavender here and there. More in the distance though. The lavender kind of gives it a nice distant feel. There's some. So I'm going to try to blend these distant colors into the background a little bit. So I wet the edges and then blot a little bit just to kind of soften that a little bit. Like that. Okay, so now we are really kind of getting a great feel on this. This is the shirt and the face of this person here. In the foreground, the same thing over here. We will do some highlights there. So I will kind of do a little bit of highlights around. And we'll also add some highlights with titanium white mixed with yellow ochre to get some highlights to this picture. And I'm trying to make sure I'm making sure I really key in now on the details here. So this is a figure here. Okay, and there's another one here next to this figure. Okay, so there's two figures here next to each other. And the rest we can just have fun like that. All right, this is the point where we can keep going actually. There's no reason. The only thing I'm going to do right now is take a quick break, change out my water. My water's really muddy. I want to make sure I kind of change my water, make sure the water is nice and clean, because I'm starting to get really muddy water and that's going to be a problem for me. So far we're doing really well. We've got 90% of the 90% of the way we're complete. Can you believe it? So again, this is the glazing technique. Tons of water, tons of paint. This is just total watercolor, medium at its best. We're just putting on the paints. Started out with a light wash and then we go with our darker colors over top. You can see that, right? Can you see that? We just went with lighter washes first, let it dry 100%, blow dry it if you have to. If you can't wait and you're so excited you have to get back in here and paint. If you have to get back in and paint because you're so excited, well, hey, get the blow dryer out, blow dry it all off, dry it really well. Then you go in and you start doing your darker washes, and you can see how we did all this. We used all our darker washes here. We left the distant buildings as they go off in the distance here away from us. Remember, we're trying to get that three-dimensional feel. So as the buildings go into the distance, they're lighter. You can see how this is all light over here and then back over this way. So those are the lighter washes. And then as it's closer to us here, right along this left side, everything is darker. So we used more paint, more darker washes over here on this side. And we have our figures in here, which is 1, 2, 3, and then another figure here next to this one. And I think that's about good. And then there's some other figures in here too, but they're kind of like blended in with the rest of the washes, so we don't have to be too fussy with that. So and we're going to do our signs over here next, and our light posts and lights next. So we're going to do some finishing ornamentation next. That'll be the next step. Let's let this dry a little bit, and then we'll finish up with our ornamentation, some lights, light posts, some signs, some signage, some highlights on our figures, and we're all complete 100%, and you can't ask for a better watercolor than this. And I hope you're going to subscribe too. Hey, if you want to see more paintings like this, you're going to have to subscribe. Right down on the right hand side below here is the subscribe button. Don't be silly, just subscribe. Don't be, worrying about it. You have too many subscribers or you're subscribed to too many channels. We do everything watercolor here, so this is your watercolor channel. You're coming here all the time to learn your watercolor techniques, your methods, your processes of how to create beautiful paintings like this, whether it's cityscapes, landscapes, figure painting, flowers, boat paintings, seascapes, whatever it is, we're doing it right here. You can learn anything you want. Just stick with us and you'll have a great time. And we'll be right back. We're just going to let this dry a little bit and we'll do our final highlights and some ornamentation and some details, and we'll finish up and you'll see how beautiful this actually looks once it's 100% complete. Okay, we'll be right back. Okay, we're back. We're excited. We're finishing up this painting, and this is the most exciting part of a painting, is it not? Am I right? This is the most fun part of the painting, when you're 90% complete and then you're just going to do some of those fun details at the very last stages of your painting. You've got it done well. You can kind of see it. It's come all together for you. You have all of your washes working perfectly together throughout the whole painting now. And now you just have to get in some details, some final ornamentation, some details just to finish things up. You don't want to go with too many details and then sort of overburden your painting with, let's say, like excessive details. You kind of want to leave your details sparingly as you go toward the end of your painting. So here, we could leave it just like this and it would probably look fantastic and perfect and great, and we could leave it this way. But we do want to add just those few little ornamentation areas where you kind of, your eye will be able to kind of look around the painting and see some of the finer details. Let's do that now. So I got fresh water, so I have fresh water now. I put in to my my water container, and then I have a new brush. I'm using my Raphael number 8 watercolor brush, and that's just so I can get some of these details in. So let me get some yellow ochre in with that white. Okay, so I want to get some of that white in there. That's the windshield of the car. And maybe that's, we'll do the taillights. Maybe maybe these are the taillights of the car. Let's do that, just like this here. So we're going to do some taillights here and then we're going to go with some darker darks. Let's get some darker darks. Burnt sienna, French ultramarine blue, burnt sienna, burnt umber, a little bit of Prussian blue. Okay, so there we go. We just add some of that. We're going to add some darks too to our figures in the front here. Okay, got some of that. Darks. Okay, so we have our darks. We're going to start to just get them there, here and there. Burnt umber again, burnt sienna, burnt umber, French ultramarine blue, a little bit of Prussian blue, a little bit of sepia tone, which is the neutral tint. And then we're going to just do a little bit of and we're just doing some of the finishing details here, and I see that we have some the colors of the car here. Let's do this. Let's make sure we have the car here. And we have some more detail over here where the car is on this side. And some yellow ochre there. More yellow ochre here. If you start to see your palette gets a little bit overburdened with too much paint and washes, just clean out a little section for yourself to get more fresh, clean color. So let's do that. So you can see there, I'm doing some more fresh, clean color there. Cobalt blue. We want to add some cobalt blue here and there just to kind of give ourselves a nice color variation here. Okay. I'm just going to let the water flow here. I'm going to splash on some water. Don't worry about it. Add some splashes here and there, some water onto your paper. If it puddles up too much, lift a little bit up at the bottom of your painting with some paper towel. So you just want to touch very little bit on the bottom of your painting just to lift up a little bit of those puddles that puddle up at the bottom of the tape. Okay, now we're going to start getting into more of the details like we said. We're going to use our needlepoint brush. You can see how pointy this is. This brush is absolutely unnecessary if you're going to do really good details in any of your watercolor paintings, whether it's seascapes, landscapes, cityscapes, especially anything flower paintings, landscape paintings. You want to have a really sharp point on your brush to complete really fine details. So that's why I always use my Alvaro Castagnet number 8 needlepoint brush. You can see that. It's very pointy. Now we'll use that to get in our final details here with some of the ornamentation. Let's see, we have burnt umber, burnt sienna, we have French ultramarine blue, a little bit of Prussian blue, a little bit of that burnt, a little bit of the sepia tone, which is the neutral tint. Okay, so we have all that. Real simple. You just take your needlepoint brush, you get that loaded up with plenty of paint. If you have to, if you get nervous, you might be putting too much paint on your painting, you dry off a little bit as you go. So you dry off a little bit first, then you go in. And let's see how we do here. Let's this is the light post, so let's do our light post. I'm just going to go up. Doesn't have to be perfect. There we go. More paint. We need more paint here, so we have this. And we just go around this way. I need more paint. Like that, and I just go around like this. A little more water, add a touch of water to that. A little bit of cobalt blue maybe, a little bit of French ultramarine blue. And we're going to do our light fixture. And our light fixture happens to be right over the top of that. Maybe I should have made the light fixture a little bit off center from that rotunda here, but we've already completed things. We just have to, so now I'm going to do a few more details here. Here we have a couple of lines. And then we have a few more windows up here, so we're going to do some windows with our needlepoint brush like that. Okay, we want to make sure we have some lines up here. Okay, some windows, some lines, like that. So you're just trying to get in a few details here and there. Not tremendous amounts of details, just a little bit. Here we'll do the other light post. And you'll see, I'll just go around. Here we go. Okay, that's the other light post. Then we're going to add some more water over here. A little bit of blue. Let's get a circle in there. There we go. And we're just going to get some of our signage in. Look at that. How easy is that? We use our needlepoint brush. This way we keep it nice and loose. Right? We're going to go quick, loose, fast, free. You're not going to be trying to over fussing with things. Just get the basic idea of it. A couple rectangles here, right? One rectangle, two rectangles, a circle up here. The sign up here is a circle. And we have that. And that's what you want to do, have fun. Talk to yourself as you paint and just have a good time. Like that, like so. There you go, a little bit of splashing. And then you have everything pretty much in great shape. We want to do more burnt sienna, burnt umber, French ultramarine blue, touch of Prussian blue, touch of the sepia tone or neutral tint. And then we're going to do some hair on top of our figures here. So we will get some hair here like that. Okay, just a couple little facial features, maybe some sunglasses. And if you don't think that looks good, just put some red in there. I think it looks good, just maybe some red wash. And there we go, look at that. All right, so now, look at that. Can you believe it? We're pretty much done. Look at that, how wonderful this looks. You can maybe, let's shape the burnt sienna, burnt umber, burnt sienna, burnt umber, French ultramarine blue, Prussian blue, neutral tint. Maybe we'll just get a little more shoulders on these figures, like that. Okay, like that. And what else? Let's do this. We want those taillights in there. Splash some water on them. Okay. Maybe a little more red here. There we go, and another here. Okay, everybody, we're really in great shape right now. We've done everything we could to make this painting look phenomenal. The next thing I would say, if you want, we would have to blow dry this a little bit or let it dry 100% to kind of shape the car windscreens and top of the cars a little bit. So let's do that. Let me take a quick break and we'll come right back. We'll just shape the tops of the cars just a little bit. Other than that, I think everything else looks just right, and we'll finish up everything in just a second. Let's just take a quick time out to do to finish up our cars. Our cars, we need to just do a little. Okay, we'll be right back. Hey, you've made it. You're continuing on here with this painting. You're watching, you're probably painting along with me here. We're having a great time. We're kind of getting to the final details here. We actually have most of the details in, but we still want to capture a few more details in this painting to kind of just make it a perfect painting as much as possible, what we can do here. So we definitely want to add a few more things here. So I'm gonna get some more darks now. I'm using quite a bit of darks now for my final details because those are sort of the things that were. So I'm using all of my darks, burnt sienna, burnt umber, burnt sienna, burnt umber, French ultramarine blue, sepia tone, Prussian blue. Okay, so now we're just going to do some details here to the light post. So we have a light post and we have some lights here. So these are the lights for the pedestrian crossings and the vehicles. So I want to kind of get those in there. Okay, and I think this is looking good. I just maybe want to add a little bit of more darks there to that, and then also up here and down here on these two, there's a light post here and there's like a sign here. So I just want to make sure I kind of get those with some good darks. And there might be, I just want to maybe bring that dark down there, leave that like so. Then we wanted to describe, let's use our needlepoint brush. Let's get some darks onto our needlepoint brush right here, and let's get that windscreen of that car described a little bit there. Doesn't have to be perfect, but we'll put some light on there too, and there's some more here like that. So I just wanted to kind of get that, those windshields of those cars, those windscreens, a little bit better, like that. Some, like so. That looks much better, and a little bit of maybe some detail there, like that, and then like this here. And I just put that, some extra water on there just to kind of flow that down, okay, there a little bit. And a little more here. And we'll cross there. Okay, that's good. Okay, now we're going to add some red to our, we have some lights here, some okay, and let's do some highlights for our figures. Titanium white, well that's Chinese white, let's go with titanium white. Titanium white's a little bit more solid. Chinese white can be a little bit, Chinese white is like more opaque and lighter in density, so we want a pretty good solid feel. So titanium is a little more solid looking, and we're going to do our shoulders for our figures there. There we go. Like that, and then some highlights on the head, top of the head here. Okay, and where else are we going to use this here? We have the umbrella here, and there's another umbrella here. So we're going to try to shape out, again, titanium white with a little bit of yellow ochre mixed in, so we can get a little bit of our and then we're going to go in with some more red, and we have some more. And we have some more darker darks here. And maybe some more. Okay, we have a few more of those umbrellas in the background here. And we have a few more highlights on the light posts here. And you don't want to go too much. Just a couple highlights here and there. That looks good. The windscreen's over here. Top of the car, a couple highlights there. That's all you need here too. That should be good. A little bit of yellow ochre and white on the windscreens here and here. Cars are always difficult, hard to make them look good, but we're trying our best here. And we have our tail lights here with a little bit of the, it's raining here. Remember, we had a little bit of rain, so there's a little bit of rain and a little bit of reflections on the pavement here. So that we're going to do, we're going to make sure we have that there. Maybe a little bit of blue here with the car. And then here, maybe some blue. Maybe a blue shirt on this figure, so we could do a little bit of a blue shirt kind of feel. Maybe over here we have a gentleman with a little bit of a green shirt there. And then we can blot up a little bit of paint if you want, tap a little bit of paint up. And then let's do a flag, maybe. Let's do a flag up top here. Let's get some dark darks. And maybe we're going to make a nice flag up here like this. This will be the flagpole here. And then we're going to do some, let's see what we're going to have here. Let's do some white. There we go, white. And let's do some red, cadmium red and alizarin crimson. That might be over here. Like that. And then some green. We'll do some green, white, and red. Okay, there we go. We got a flag. Maybe just to make some exciting color here. And I think we've got all the details we could ever want in this painting. And let's see. Let's take off the tape. And when we take off the tape, you kind of just see a little more of a crisp, clean border, which really looks good when you kind of lift up the tape. You can see the border of the painting a little better. Okay, so that is really a pleasant and pleasing glazing technique watercolor of a cityscape, a gorgeous painting. Maybe it's you know, just your favorite city. Maybe it's where you live. You can change your flag to your home city where you live. You can make this an Italian flag, a French flag, a Uruguayan flag, a British flag, a United States flag. You can change around some ideas and make it more kind of custom, you know, tailored to where you are, as far as where you live, if you want to do that. Or maybe you want to visit someplace and you're saying, wow, I'd like to visit France or Italy or Australia or Britain. Let me make some interesting flags there for the colors of the country that you'd like to go visit. It's all up to you. You just make the story up yourself. Have fun, pretend you're in the city, you're walking around on the streets, you're just having a great time, you're shopping, you're sightseeing, all these different things. Bring all those emotions into your painting so that when you're painting, you're feeling good feelings, you're excited about what you're doing, you feel passionate, and then your paintings will go so much better. And I had a great time painting this. I'm hoping you're going to come back again. We'll be painting just like this in the very near future using the glazing technique again here. And we're so happy to be here with you, painting along with you and covering all these great details of watercolor so that you can create beautiful paintings and have a great time with your watercolors. We'll see you soon, and happy painting, everybody. Bye-bye.